So I ran out of time on my second module, and I wanted to make just a short little module to explain what a normal distribution or a bell-shaped curve looks like. So you can see on the slide up above there, what we see is the bell curve. And as I was talking about in the last module, an average score for intelligence is 100. And if you go 15 points in either way, from 85 to 115, 68 out of 100 people would score in that range. And so when people land in that 85 to 115 range of intelligence, we would say that that's average because that's where over 2/3 of all the people land. And as you can see, going out to either extreme, we see fewer and fewer people who are going to be in that average. So we'll talk a little bit later in this chapter when we look at giftedness and intellectual disabilities that when you get in 70 or below, you can see there that there's only about 2.5% of everybody who would take that IQ test that would land there, and that's called an intellectual disability. And if you happen to be 130 or above, we would call that gifted. Okay, so that's kind of a basic understanding there. Now, the other thing for you to kind of note is that intelligence tends to stabilize as we get older. And so as time goes on, you can see at age 4, IQ doesn't correlate quite as highly at age 12 as it would when you're, say, at age 7. Now, some of that obviously is because there's fewer years in between 7 and 12 compared to 4 to 12. But there's also the pattern where you see the intelligence scores tend to fluctuate a lot less. And by adolescence, the IQ of an individual is pretty highly correlated with that of an adult later on. And so we have to always be a little bit conscious of that, in particular when we're talking about young children, when we do IQ tests on them. And we'll come back and later on this chapter talk about factors that can negatively impact or positively impact IQ scores. As we said in the beginning, even though it's viewed as a trait, it certainly is susceptible to environmental influences. So that's all I wanted to add, but like I said, I ran out of a little time. We'll go ahead and start into the next module, which gets at some of the intelligence theories that are out there.